everyone. Today we're going to be going over my book collection from Elvis Presley, or about Elvis Presley, in honor of Elvis Week that's happening now. And so we'll start with the biggest one, which is Elvis, a King in the Making, featuring the beautiful photographs from Alfred Wertheimer. They're quite beautiful. I fell in love in particular with this book because the cover has a picture of him smiling. A lot of his other stuff, they do not, which is frustrating for me because he was, from what I've heard, loved humor and stuff. So I'll just go through and get a good look at it. I have a page-turning video as well, if you'd like to see it in more depth. But basically it talks about how RCA Records sent Albert down to photograph this new guy that they think might be a flash in the pan. It's funny now because he's a legend. And he looks fantastic in all of his photos. This is before he became famous, so I think it was just after his first few shows on TV and his first album hit. And they're gorgeous photographs. Went and took photos of a recording session. You can tell he's so young. He's like just maybe 20. Yeah, it's I do highly recommend the book. It's a very interesting part of Elvis's life and career that tends to get overshadowed, I would say, because of the rest of his life is just so fascinating. Not that this part isn't. The next book I'd like to go with is the 68 Comeback Special. Of course, this one was published just after the new movie came out. And quite a beautiful cover, very electric, featuring that famous section where he's in front of a bunch of duplicates. And it's quite a beautiful book. I have, of course, a page-turning video, which I will have the link for on the bottom. And this is all about how they got it done with the guy who was there. And it's a beautiful book, very well made. It's very interesting. And shows how the people interacted with the Colonel and how he was abrasive, shall I say. Steve Binder was not a big fan of him. But yeah, it's quite a beautiful book. It's a great guitar. Austin Butler has that guitar now. And the man who played Elvis in the movie. It's I thought it was quite an interesting look into it. I don't know that the story inside movie was completely accurate and that he just really wanted an Elvis Christmas show. It doesn't sound very Elvis, so I think they just threw that in for dramatics. But it's very interesting. I love this cover. I love this cover, and it's a nice, solid book. Yeah. And we're steadily getting smaller. We have the Life magazine. I believe it came out right around the movie came out, so it's fairly new. I don't know if all the information inside it is from old sources, or I know how he's had an impact, of course. And it is also filled with beautiful photographs, and as you would expect, very easy as he could. And I also paged through this one so you can see it in greater detail in the in my page turning video. Wow, look at all this stuff. All his records. He worked so hard. In the 22 years he was a real star. It was crazy. And, it's unfortunate his movies are kind of not the best. But, yeah, it's a great magazine. It's thick. Love the photo they use of him on here. With that 3/4 view they always have of everybody. Got his hair perfect. Eyes comes off the red very nicely. They look almost gray here. A beautiful shirt. Looks velvety. I don't know if it is or if that's a trick to the photo, but I don't know what this button is either. That looks fun. Looks fancy. He's always very fancy. This is the Elvis graphic novel. I keep thinking there must be a volume 2 that I'm missing somewhere, because this is all about his beginnings. So you only get to the part where he does the one show with the gold suit on, and I don't think that's the 68 special. It's like a different show after the hound dog thing. So it's literally the beginning of his career, and I'm going to be honest, I don't know that I like it that much, this book. They did the best they could. It's well made, well polished book. It smells fantastic. Apparently he's a little hard to draw, because I feel like some of them don't look like him. But it's full color. It is pretty, and it does go over his beginnings. I think it's difficult to do a graphic novel on someone who's a singer, because that's like their whole thing is singing and putting on a show, and it's hard to do that in a graphic novel. I think they did the best they can, but and still though, I would like to see a part 2. So apparently this person who wrote it also does other artists like Grateful Dead, and it's interesting. Like the border here, the edge, little guitar. It's interesting. This one's a little cute one. I like it. It's all about Christmas with Elvis. The guy who wrote it was introduced to Elvis through his parents, and they, you know, have his music. He has huge albums for Christmas, and Christmas was a huge holiday he loved to celebrate. So it's a cute book. I love how they did his hair and the ice cream or icing. There it is. That's my favorite picture in this whole book. Thank you very much. Look at that. And it's a very interesting book, very cute, very well made, very colorful. Highly recommended. It's fun, especially if you're big on Elvis and Christmas. It's kind of the perfect book to get. Of course, he did his own spin on a bunch of Christmas songs, so I recommend it. I thought it was it's cheerful. It's a beautiful book and fun. They did a very good job, I feel. And of course, they had to put his gold suit on the cover, which of course he didn't like, but it's a good suit. It's fun. Fits perfectly with the theme of the cover here, so that works out. Of course, we have Peter Garlnick books, which, as you can see, kind of have to have both to complete the picture on the spine. Does look good here. And they're thick boys. Look at these things. And the print is not big. There's a lot of details in here. I started them, and it's written very well. I thought they featured beautiful photographs on the cover, and of course, a little depressing, as you can, the poor man died. Worked so hard and died. Didn't quite do all the things you would expect of him. And, the rise of Elvis Presley, the last train to Memphis. And I like how they put author of Careless Love, even though that was I assume was the second book. Author of Last Train to Memphis. That one makes more sense on this one. But it's just started. I think he was going over he's telling that lady from the Sun Records, I don't sound like nobody. Like, hopefully they got his voice right. It's a very thick book. Obviously you can see there's some pictures in here. No book about Elvis is complete without pictures. It's like, what did the man look like? Oh, he was beautiful. So that's a real shame that he's with a record player. A record player that his audience would have, more than likely, so he could see how his songs sounded to his actual fans. He was very perfectionist as far as what the record sounded like, how the song sounded. So he worked hard. Worked very hard. This one's very interesting. It's a collection of his writings, like his literal handwriting from author happened to find it. And it's also weird because this author does like a bunch of children's books, so it feels like a completely different departure from what she usually does. But I'm really glad she did it. Like she got a whole bunch of his books that he wrote in, and apparently had quite a big library. And I know a lot of people thought Elvis was not the smartest, but apparently he still had quite a big book collection. It was a lot of spiritual stuff. He was always looking for that. And, yeah, this is fascinating. You can get this. I 100% recommend it because it was interesting to read. Because it's the actual book pages, so you get the book, and then you see what he was reacting to right in the book. It's fascinating. And The Prophet, one of his favorite books. It's a beautifully made book. Got pictures, got all the scans. Yeah, 100% recommend this. You can see kind of what he was thinking. This is a fictional work from a little-known author. It's called Saving Elvis, Mary Yancey Wade, and it's fictional. Obviously, it's about how this woman accidentally gets Elvis Presley sent to her in time, through time, and she has 3 days to convince him to save himself so he continues living for a while, longer than he actually does. And I haven't read it, been very busy, only got it a little while ago. But look at these bright white pages. But it's a very it sounds like a very positive book, which a lot of his books can be depressing because they end with him passing or he's no longer with us. Most of his friends aren't even with us. I just looked that up the other day. That was sad to hear. But I love the cover. They got his hair right. It actually really looks a lot like Elvis. I'm assuming this is the Colonel. So I feel a bit bad for the man, although I've never met him, so maybe I wouldn't if I did. But, because they make him sound like a genius, but they also make him sound like the worst person that could have happened to Elvis at the same time. So I'm not sure how to feel about the guy. And of course, he's passed away quite a bit ago. He probably wouldn't care that much. It's like, as long as Elvis is still producing money, who cares? Feelings, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I grabbed it because, wanted to read something that had a more happy ending, I guess. Of course, I would assume Lisa also has a happier ending in this book. Not that she didn't have a good life or anything, it's just she died so young, and it's not fair. And of course, the smallest book, Elvis and Me, in my collection, with Priscilla Presley. And I haven't read it yet either. I'll be honest, her behavior after her daughter passed has made me see her in a different light. So I'm not sure what to do. I guess I'll read it eventually, and then save my opinions on her till after. So it's interesting. Yeah. So that was my book collection with Elvis. And I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe you liked what you saw there. And if you liked what you heard and saw, feel free to subscribe and like the video. And I hope you have a wonderful day.